Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honors, and glories to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Dash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to the hopeful elect. This is your brother, I am Noah Allah,
and Malakia
from GMS Chicago, and we're coming back with you with another lesson. All right, and we're basically going to go ahead and go into the basics. All right, who are the Israelites? All right. And the Israelites that are spoken in the Bible, according to the scriptures, all right, is you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right, because we fit the curses in Deuteronomy chapter 28. But first, I'm going to read this one right here, Isaiah 1, and I'm going to just start with verse 1, all right, because this scripture, explains that our people are a rebellious people, all right, they are stiff-necked, they are hard-headed, all right, and they turned away from the true power, the only true power, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, all right. But this is Isaiah 1 and 1, the vision of Isaiah, the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord has spoken. I have nourished and brought up the children, and they have rebelled against me. And yeah, the Lord has nourished us, all right. He nourished his people, all right. The apple of the Lord's eye is the children of Israel. And for many, for a very long time now, all right, the Lord has delivered the children of Israel out of many captivities and out of many troubles, including, when we were fleeing from the Egyptians, all right, as spoken in the book of Exodus, all right. But guess what? Our people still to this very day, all right, they turn their hearts away from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, all right, which is now we're in the predicament that we are in right now under the curses, all right. But it says, I have nourished and brought up children, and I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. The ox knoweth his owner, and his ass his master's crib, but Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider. And yeah, these animals, they know their owner, all right? The ox, the donkeys, all right? They know who their masters are, all right? But Israel, they do not consider the Lord. They don't consider Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai, all right? Instead, they turn to the white man for the want of all things, all right? They think that the so-called white man is their power, all right? But here we are, the prophets and the elders of Great Millstone, all right, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and the prophets that are out there on the highways and byways, we're telling you to turn to your power, all right, turn to your true power, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai, before it's too late, all right. But here's verse 4. A sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupt, as they have forsaken the Lord, they have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger, and they are gone away backward. And that's what, the nation of Israel has been doing even unto this day, right? Following these idols, following these other gods, these false gods, worshiping these idols and following these false doctrines, all right, that's leading them astray, all right. And what, our people have revolted and are gone, all right? They turn their hearts away from Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai, all right? But nonetheless, you got, or we'll go ahead and go into that Deuteronomy, all right? Because, hey, this explains that, we are the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of because we fit the curses, all right? But here is Deuteronomy, all right? But it says, you want to read it?
Deuteronomy 15.
Yeah. 28:15.
Deuteronomy 28 and 15. But it shall come to pass, if they will not hearken unto the voice of the Lord
thy power,
thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
And yeah, that's right. The Lord, all right, He put the spirit on Moses, all right, to give us the law, statutes, and commandments. And so what? The children of Israel, they treat that as nothing, all right. And the Lord basically is telling the nation of Israel uh, what would happen to us if we turn our hearts away from Him, all right. If we refuse to follow the ways of Yahweh Shem, Yahushua, if we continue in sin, He'll put these curses upon us, all right.
And going down to verse 16, cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field.
So no matter what, anywhere you go, you're going to be cursed wherever you go, even if you're over there in Europe, even if you're over there in China, whatever, man. All right, you're still going to be cursed. You're still going to be under the curses no matter what.
And cursed shall thou be in thy basket, in thy store.
And that's right. Jake want to try to uh, build everlasting wealth on this side. They want to build businesses and shit. But guess what? You got to go to Esau, Edom for the want of all things. You gotta go to him in order to take out a loan, in order to borrow cash. But guess what? You gotta pay back with interest. You gotta pay him back. All right. And so, Esau, he doesn't want to give you any of that. He doesn't want you to build on this side, all right?
Yeah, and on verse 17, how it says, "Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store," meaning what? You know, in Haggai 1:6, ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put into a bag with holes, which is Jake. Jake they ain't making money. Yeah, they make money throughout the week, but you know, all that money goes into their bills, their groceries, their car insurance, and yeah, they might have like a $500 check, but that check is gone. They can't save here in Babylon.
Yeah, and who is the backbone here in America? Who is the backbone over all the islands, or all the countries of the of this earth? That'd be mainly Jake, all right. Because what, all these heathens, and especially Esau to this very day, all right, we're basically the backbone in every country, everywhere we are at. We're the backbone, especially here in America, all right. Which is why America is still standing here today, because what, America was built upon slavery, all right. Esau Edom, he took us into slavery, all right. The so-called black men and Native American men and the Hispanics into slavery, and this is why Esau Edom is in the position that he is right now. He earned his wealth by enslaving us.
And going down onto Deuteronomy 28:17, or Deuteronomy 28:18, cursed shall be the fruit of thy body,
Your
and the
children. That's basically going into your children, all right.
and the fruit of thy land, and the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
And that's right. Now Jake don't have that no more. All right, you don't own shit. All right, because we're in captivity. We're basically the tail. All right, and Esau's the head. All right, Esau owns everything, man.
Cursed shall thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shall thou be when thou goest out.
And that's right. Even when you die, all right, you're still gonna be cursed when you come back in the next life. But hey, Lord willing, we don't have a next life, because hey, this seems like we are at the end of our captivity, man, which is a good thing. All right, but throughout history, all right, throughout our past lives, we always have been cursed.
And Deuteronomy 28:20, the Lord Yahweh power shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, and all thou settest thine hand to do, thine hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me.
And that's right. you could break that down.
and um, everything that we do in the like anywhere, if we try to make a business or trying to set up our own communities, J communities, it doesn't end up going well. Eventually that business,
But really, in general, everything that you do, all right, no matter wherever you live, you may think you might got a little something and shit, but hey, man, we have no part in Esau's kingdom. All right, we're in captivity, man. We're basically being punished right now because of we have sinned against Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. All
yeah,
right,
even with your businesses, you may think you have something, but no, you only have the crumbs. You're still living on paycheck to paycheck, and
verse.
uh,
Okay, get ready.
in Deuteronomy 28 and 21, the Lord, Yahweh power, shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until he have consumed thee from off the land whither thou goest to possess it.
And that's right. Look what Esau Edom did to the Native Americans and to the so-called black man here in America, right? When the Edomites have came over here into the Americas and conquered America, all right, they brought in diseases, bro. They brought in the smallpox, man. They really have destroyed our people, man. You look in those images, the smallpox and what he has done to our people, man. It was hideous, all right. It was very hideous, and basically, they destroyed us by the way of their sword, right? All right, they brought diseases here, and they basically got our people sick. All right,
Yeah, and another another thing too to know how that this is us speaking in the Bible, in
that one we could read at the end, or what does it say?
Deuteronomy.
Oh yeah, well, there's some more right here that we gotta read,
All right.
but I could read it. It says, uh, yeah. The Lord shall make pestilence cleave unto thee until he have consumed thee from off the land where thou goest to possess it. The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with a inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall they come down upon thee until thou be destroyed. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thy enemies, and thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and thou shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. All right, and and that's what has always has happened to us throughout the scriptures. All right, since we have been under the captivities of these other kingdoms. All right, the Assyrians. All right, the the Edomites, the Roman Empire. All right, even including the reign of Sennacherib, or well, that was Sennacherib. He got destroyed, but um, Nebuchadnezzar. You got what else? You got, forgot his name, that Roman emperor or Greek emperor. Um, damn.
But
And
yeah,
then the Maccabees, I remember. Shit.
yeah, like in Jeremiah 49 and 15, for lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. That's what Jake is currently out here today. We're despised among the heathen, and we're looked at small among them.
Yeah, we're looked at as like degenerates. We look like a to them, we look like bad influence, all right? Because they see us as thugs. They see every each one of us as thugs everywhere you go. You go into their stores, their restaurants, their neighborhoods. They look at you, Jake, as thugs, man. It says, the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before the enemies. Those shall go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and those shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. And that's and you know, the Lord has scattered us into the 4 corners of the earth. All right. And it says, and thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. The Lord will smite thee with a botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch, whereof thou canst not heal. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. And those shall grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and those shall not prosper in thy ways, and those shall be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. All right. And even unto this day, we're oppressed, all right, under the rule of Esau, Edom, all right, and no one is here to save us, all right, because what the earth is given unto the hands of the wicked, all right, and the Lord set Esau, Edom up for a time to rule, all right, but his rulership is coming to an end, all right, but Deuteronomy 28:30, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. And that's right. A lot of adultery among the nation of Israel, all right, has been going on. All right. Part of the curses is that, your very own wife, would turn against you, man. And that's what you see happening with the head tribe of the tribe of Judah. All right. But not just the tribe of Judah, but all the tribes, man. Our own women, all right, they would rather go to Esau, Edom, than to be with the Jake man, all right. And hey, that's also part of the curses, all right, where our women turn against us, all right, against the Israelite man.
Yeah, and this is and this is Amos 7:17. Therefore, this saith the Lord Yahweh, thy power, thy wife shall be an harlot in the city, and thy sons and thy daughters shall fall by the sword, and thy land shall be divided by a line. No shall die in a polluted land, and Israel shall surely go into captivity forth of his land. That's Babylon right there. We were brought here
Well,
to be slaves.
and you look at the condition of our women today, all right. A lot of our women, especially here in America, they're sluts.
Yeah, they're harlots.
They're harlots, they're hoes, they're sluts. All right. They have no morals. All right. They don't respect themselves. All right. So they commit adultery on their man, all right, and now you look at the condition of our women, all right. I mean, you look at them today, all right. Majority of them, they go to our enemies, man, all right. Well, it says, and those shall not dwell therein. It's like and another man shall lie with her, and thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and thou shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Thy axe shall be slain before thy eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and thou shalt not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thy enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. But basically, all your spoils are you so-called blacks and tears and they're Americans, all your spoils are taken away by your enemies, all right? Even to this very day, you don't own shit, all right? Esau Edom, he gave you a slave identification number, all right? Everyone has it. It's called a social security number, man. All right, everyone has a social security number, which really, you're just nothing but a number. You're just a slave, all right? You don't own shit. You don't even own your own crib. You don't own your own car, all right? Because as soon as you get married, right, and you sign those stupid papers and shit, and your wife decides to file for a divorce, she could basically take half your shit under your name. All right. So basically, clearly, you don't own anything, man. And it says,
32.
32 of thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand. And that's right. You got something called child support. Your woman, all right, she takes the children and she lies with another man, and guess what? Those children are basically with another dude, all right. All right, your children, they don't even know you no more. Or of course, you could also apply the scripture today, but you could also apply this in history during captivity. All right, Esau has separated the children, of Israel, right, the fathers from their parents. All right, that's like the fathers from their children, man. They separate households even to this very day. Look at ICE. All right, they're doing the same shit again, man. Separating the parents from their children, even unto this very day, putting them in cages, bro. This is what you had going on, even unto this very day. It says, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given to another people, and thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall the nations which thou knowest not eat, shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. Thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always, so that thou shalt be mad for the set of thy eyes which thou shalt see. The Lord shall smite thee in the knees and the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. And hey, that's actually, that right there is that's proof that we are uh shit slaves smite on their heels or legs slack. Well, this is basically what Esau has done. All right, they would smite the back of thy heel. All right, the fuck. I'm trying to find an image.
Here it is.
No, not that one. So basically, the back of of your foot, so you can't run away in captivity. Masters slash the back like slave. Crap. Well, basically, I'm gonna show you good. I'm gonna show an example, but you got the foot right, and in history, they would smite this part of the back of the foot to black slaves, all right, so that they won't run away, and they're used as examples to all the other slaves of what will happen if you attempt to escape. All right, so that's what Esau Edom has been doing to the children of Israel, man. Smiting, us in the knees and the legs with a sore botch, all right, that cannot be healed, all right. But it says, from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head, the Lord shall bring thee. And they use the whip, all right. They be hitting Jake in the back, all right. They hit Jake in the back and they get sore botches, man, scars. See that shit? So who else can this be talking about, man? It says, the Lord shall bring thee and thy king which thou shalt set over thee unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shall serve other gods, wood and stone. And that's right. The Lord scattered us unto the four corners of the earth, and we were serving, we were under the captivity of these other nations, and so we spoke their language, and the majority of our people, all right, they have taken customs of their ways, all right. They took the customs of their ways, their heathenistic ways, all right. It says, and those shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. And that's exactly what you're saying. and those shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations where the Lord shall lead thee. You want to break that one down?
Well, yeah. So basically, we're called we're called niggers, we're called
Wetbacks? No, you know.
monkeys, black, you know,
Wetbacks.
you know,
Was
chimps.
wet.
We're called all these degenerate words.
And yeah, they. It's like what the brother was telling you. They call us a proverb and a byword among all these nations that basically has led us into captivity. All right, that basically these nations have put us under captivity, man. All right. It says, and those shall carry much seed out into thy field, and thou shalt gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shall neither drink of the wine, for gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them. Thou shalt have olive trees throughout all thy coast, but thou shalt not anoint thyself with oil, for thy olive shall cast its fruit. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. And that's right, slaves back then, all right, what Esau would do, all right, he would separate the parents from their children, and basically you can't really enjoy them because, they would be sold unto slavery. A good movie to watch is Birth of a Nation, all right. They were separating the parent, the mother from her children, man, and basically those children in the movie Birth of a Nation, those children were sold into slavery, all right, or 12 Years a Slave, all right. That's another good movie. It says, "All thy trees and the fruit of thy land shall the locust consume. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low." And that's right, foreigners, even to this very day, all right, they live very highly above us, all right. But look at us, all right. Our people live in cramped up places, no space, in bad conditions, no space, barely any parking, all right. Uh, room on top of the other, all right. No space at all, man. Our people are living in the most horriblest conditions, bro. All right. It says, "The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him." And that's what Esau does today. All right. You go to the bank, you want to take out a loan, hey man, you're taking out a loan from Esau, and he wants you to pay back with interest. All right. And he's lending you the money, but you're not lending him the money. All right. Because what? You Jakes, all right, to this very day, you don't own shit. All right, it says, "He shall be the head and thou shall be the tail." And that's right. Esau Edom is the head to this very day. All right, he's in rulership right now. And us Jakes, we are the tail. It says, "Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee." All right. And yeah, that is why our people are living in the conditions they are in right now. Right. Because we sin against Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. All right. We provoke the Lord to anger, man. All right. It says, "And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, because thou servest not the Lord thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, and hunger and thirst and nakedness and the want of all things." All right. And you got to come to Esau for the want of all things, right? Because he owns everything, man. You want to take out a loan? Yeah, you got to come to Esau. All right. You want to withdraw your own cash from the ATM? Hey, man, Esau owns that shit. You want to take your very own money in large quantities. You gotta come to Esau in order to do that.
You want food, you gotta go to the grocery store.
And Esau even owns that shit too.
And you
You
want
want, hey, you want to own your very own car, you gotta come to him to, basically buy the title and shit, and put a license plate on your car, and what, you gotta buy insurance from him and shit. Otherwise, if you don't do all that, he'll just take your car away like nothing.
if you want water, you gotta go to the grocery store.
And Esau sells it to you in a bottle. And water is supposed to be free, man. All right, water is a resource that everyone can get easily, but Esau gives it to you with a price tag on it, man. All right, it says, and in the want of all things, that he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And that right there proves that we are the children of Israel to this day. All right, you yoke of iron. All you gotta do is just put a yoke. All you gotta do put on Google is a yoke of iron. All right, this is a good example. All right, ain't talking about the so-called white man. Ain't talking about the so-called Asian man. Ain't talking about so-called Chinese, Japanese, whatever, man. Ain't talking about them Arabs or those East Indians that speak Hindu and shit. All right, what Esau has been doing to us, right, in captivity, all right, he has put a yoke of iron on our neck.
Yeah.
All right, you look at these images, man.
These slaves.
It basically fits our description, man. It shows you this multiple times in the movie Birth of a Nation. All right, so who else can this be talking about? All right, it literally tells you right there. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. All right, and the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as a swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. And that's right. How do our people end up speaking all these other languages like Spanish or English or all these other nations wherever they were scattered? Right, the Lord put the curses upon us and basically scattered us into the four corners of the earth. And so these heathen nations, they took us into captivity, man. All right, especially Esau, Edom. All right. It says, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shew favor to the young, and he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also thou shalt not leave thee neither either corn or wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee, until he shall besiege thee in all thy gates, until thy height and fence walls come down, wherein thou trustest throughout all thy land, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all the land which the Lord thy power had given thee. And that's what has happened throughout in the history in this Bible. All right, these heathens, they besieged us. All right, they took everything from us, especially Esau. All right, he definitely took everything from us. All right. It says, and thou shalt eat of the fruit of thy own body, and the flesh of thy sons and thy daughters, which the Lord thy power hath given thee in the siege, and the straightness wherewith thy enemies shall distress thee. People had or resulting into cannibalism because what, our enemies took over us. All right, they basically attacked us and basically have destroyed us, man. All right, they have starved our people out. All right. Say so that the young man that is turned among you is and a very delicate. His eye shall be evil toward his brother. And that's right, that also fits the description, all right, that is speaking about us. Because look, you know what that one is talking about, right?
how like Jake trying to get over us with money.
No. Oh yeah, that included, that I Jake basically having an evil eye towards each other. Right? Hey, you still have that going on to this very day. Jake uh, killing one another, man, for the most stupidest shit to this very day. All right, they don't realize that the real enemy is Esau Edom. But how did Esau Edom get them into that condition in the first place? All right, he gave our people drugs. All right, Esau Edom gave us the illusion that money is everything. All right, Esau gave us the illusion that that our very own people are enemies of each other. All right, it says, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat, because he had nothing left him in the siege and the straitness wherewith thy enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. Says, the tender and the delicate woman among you, which will not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicate and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil toward the husband. That's right, our women are against us, man. Her eyes shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter. Look at the black woman today. All right, that's a good example. Our black women are through. All right, they have a dumb fucking mentality. All right, they don't care about their own children, man. Says, and toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet, and toward her children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for the want of all things, secretly in the siege and the straitness wherewith the enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and and this glorious and fearful name, the Lord thy power, Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed even great plagues, and of a long continuance and sore sickness is, and of a long continuance. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all diseases of Egypt, which thou was afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, then will the Lord bring upon thee until thou be destroyed, and ye shall be left few in number, whereas the stars of the heaven for a multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Lord thy power, Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai. And it shall come to pass that the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught, and ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. The Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other. That's right. Israel, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Americans, you are scattered upon the four corners of the earth. All right. Bring up the one that says, ye shall fill the prison houses. And it says, and there shall those serve other gods which neither thy father nor which neither thou nor thy father had known, even wood and stone. Our people worship idols to this day. Look at the Hispanics, man. They worship fucking a piece of wood or stone of Mary. All right, they worship Cesare Borgia, so-called white man, in them fucking churches, bro. It says, but the Lord, it's like it says, and among these nations shall thou find no ease, neither shall the soul thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. Bring up that one. I just told you.
This is Isaiah 42 and 22. But this people, but this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes. They are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey and none delivereth, for a spoil and none saith restore.
That's right. The majority of our people, they fill the prison houses, man. In these prisons, right? In America and these other countries, right? Who is mainly in the prison houses, bro? Jake.
Jake,
That's right. And Esau even profited off prison, all right? By putting you, Jake, into them prison houses, Esau profits off of that. All right, he makes money out of you, Jake, whenever he sends you off to prison. All right, says, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. And in morning thou shalt say, would God it were even, and at even thou shalt say, would Yahweh Bashan it were morning, for the fear of thine heart, wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of the eyes which thou shalt see. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. And this is going to the transatlantic slave trade, all right? Because what? It says the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. All right, how can we go to Egypt again? Uh, of course, we fled from Egypt, but Egypt is another word for captivity. All right, bondage. All right, slavery. All right, but it says the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. All right, and let's take that on a map. All right, the transatlantic slave trade. Transatlantic slave trade is, hey, can't even get around that, man. Because what? Who was in slavery in Egypt? Fuck. Atlantic slave trade. Yeah, who was in captivity in Egypt? The children of Israel, right? All right. But how did they came into America? All right. The Hamites, they sold the children of Israel into captivity, and basically we were brought into Egypt again by ships. They took us, through the routes of the transatlantic slave trade. All right, we came out of Egypt, right? We came out of that. We were dwelling in the land of Canaan for a while, right? And so our enemies overtook us because the Lord put the curses upon us. But hey, since it says, ye shall go you should go into captivity again on ships. All right, it's speaking about the history of the transatlantic slave trade, because we came into Americas on boats. All right, you see that? Of course, Egypt is all the way down there. All right, but we came through boats into the Americas, which is why the majority of Negroes were in captivity under Esau's rulership. In the America. All right, says by the way. Well, let's go ahead and read about it a little while. All right. The transatlantic slave trade was the largest forced migration in history, forcibly trafficking an estimated 12.5 million African men. Well, basically, Jake, man, Israelites, all right, because we're not African, all right. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, we're not African, all right. We are Israelites that are spoken in the Bible, all right. It says men and women and children across the Atlantic Ocean between the 16th and 19th centuries. It has profoundly shaped the global economy, enriched European colonial powers, and devastated the African continent. All right, and so that's how we came into the Americas, is by the way of ships. All right, those Hamites, they sold us into slavery. All right, and that's how we got into the Americas, by ships. All right, Esau even took us on ships into Americas, man. It says, "By the way whereof I spake unto thee, those shall see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." And when it means that no man shall buy you, it means no man will redeem you, no one will save you, no one will take you out of captivity. And unto this very day, we're still in captivity. All right. If there's anything you want to bring up. All right. Well, that was it to that lesson. All right. Basically going into simple breakdown, who are the Israelites? All right. And this is clearly speaking about us. All right. You used to call blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans because you fit the curses in Deuteronomy chapter 28. All right. Even unto this very day, look at the condition of our people. We don't own shit. All right. We're at the bottom. We're basically eating off the crumbs. All right. These heathen nations, they own shit. The Chinese man own shit. The Arab, the East Indian that speak Hindu and shit, they own shit. Right, they got resources. But look at us. Look at our people. All right, we're fucked up out here, man. Even to this very day, getting oppressed by Esau's laws and legislations and regulations and shit. All right, our people are in a real fucked up condition to this very day. All right, and then this is what has just gives a quick breakdown. Salakia if it was long, but hey, we fit them curses, man. All right, there's many scriptures to prove that we're the Israelites. According to the Bible, where you got Acts 13:1, it says, these prophets, all right, the so-called black man, all right, it tells you in Acts 13:1, all right, I got the King James version and the NLT right here, all right. You can't make this shit up, man. All right, this is in the Bible. Or look at the story of Moses, all right, when he put his hand into his bosom and he took it out, all right. It says that his hand was leprous as snow, all right. But when he put his hand back into his bosom again and he took it out, it was to his normal flesh again, meaning that, hey, Moses is a man of color, all right. The children of Israel are a people of different shades of brown, all right. Just like Judah is black unto the ground. All right, we're the 12 tribes of Israel were different shades of brown. Right, some of us may not look like Israelites, but hey, our lineage still goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, wherever tribe you are from, whether you are an Issacharite, at least from the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, your lineage goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, whether you be Hispanic, Black, or Native American, your lineage goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right. But with that, we want to give all praises, honors, and glories to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash, and Shalom.